WarRoomSports.com. Get that mobile app.
What's up, football fans out there, and welcome to another edition of Field Vision, brought to you as usual by War Room Sports in conjunction with Sports Kings. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Dev, and I'm here at the round table this evening with my partner B. Austin from War Room Sports. What up?
What a guan, youths. We're here to teach you a little thing called sports and football.
And we got the homie Frank from Sports Kings. What up, Frank?
Yo, free Bill Simmons. This whole thing is just effing BS. So leave me out. Stop my time.
And everybody stand up, because I know we can't do this show if y'all not standing up. You handicapped? So what? Stand up anyway. All right, look.
When you come to the show, if you couldn't get out your wheelchair.
No doubt. Well, listen, man, we got a small round table this week. So we're just going to talk about a few quick topics, and we're going to get out of here. The first thing I want to talk about, fellas, from week 3. Well, this is a result of week 3. We got three 3-0 teams, 3 undefeated teams left in the National Football League. One of them is my Philadelphia Eagles, me and B. Austin, the Arizona Cardinals, and your Cincinnati Bengals. They don't want to be called the Bungles this year. All right, so fellas, which 3-0 team are we buying the most? That's the question.
None.
Buying, Frank?
He also said none. For me, I think it's the Bengals. I'm really impressed with their defense. I think they will definitely win that division at this point, just because I'm not really sold on the Ravens. And even though I picked the Steelers at the beginning of the year, they haven't really come out and shown me anything too explosive. So I definitely think it's the Bengals. I've been impressed with Andy Dalton, even though I was critical of his contract before the season started. I didn't think he really earned it. I still don't think he earned it when he got it, but, who am I to hate on him for getting paid? I like Giovanni Bernard. He's really shown out, and A.J. Green's an absolute stud. But I think it's mostly that defense is for real. It might be the best defense in the entire league, and that's including the Seahawks.
Why does everybody hate on my man Andy Dalton?
The Red Rifle.
Why does nobody like Big Red, man? I think Andy Dalton is a pretty good quarterback until the playoffs starts, and he got paid for the regular season. I mean, he led the Bungles to the playoffs 3 straight years. Notice I said led, everybody. Didn't say carry. Some people get carried away with their, with the stuff that they say. I'm going to agree with Frank, though. I think the Bengals of these 3 teams are the most complete team. He named, their weapons on offense. Giovanni Bernard is doing it out of the backfield in the running game and in the pass game. And, their running game is solid all around, not just Giovanni Bernard. His backup is pretty good as well. A.J. Green, they got the other receiver. I'm not even trying to pronounce his name. Yeah, but he's quite versatile. He's throwing passes. He has like 68 passing yards on the season, threw a touchdown to Andy Dalton last week. But the main component of this team, as Frank stated, is that defense. Cincinnati Bengals defense is tough, and just comparing them to the other teams, like the Philadelphia Eagles defense is basically a JV defense. So they're not really living up to their side of the bargain as far as matching what the offense is doing. If the Eagles' defense could match the output of the offense, especially the offense in the second half of games, and even if the offense could live up to their full potential and stop leaving so many points on the field in the red zone, it's scary how good that team could actually be. And I'm usually kind of pessimistic about my own team, but you look at all the mistakes they make, and you look at what they're still doing, it's kind of scary if they could put it all together. The Cardinals, they're one of those teams, I don't believe them until, they got to prove it. I mean, they came out of the gate strong 2 years ago, I believe, and then fizzled. Last season, they finished 10-6, didn't make the playoffs, but that's just because of that tough division they played in. So I'm going to go with the Bengals on that one as well.
I'm going to go with my Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, Chip Kelly has created a monster in our ability to play horizontally and spread the field. If you've noticed, our power running game is able to dominate. We're able to run out of the shotgun. In short yardage situations, we bring in my man Darren Sproles, the most powerful midget in sports. You look at our line, we're able to do it with backup linemen who are signed in the same week. I mean, shout out to Nick Foles, Napoleon Dynamite. He is killing it. We got Harry Williams on the corner. Practice? We're not talking about game. We're talking about practice.
Wait for it, Frank.
What is I get tired in practice. I want to relax my legs during practice. I'm not trying to work too hard. He has us dogged out during games. Kerry Williams, you sound like a sniveling, whining bitch, and I apologize who are underage. This is a PG-rated show, but there's no other way to characterize what he has done this week in the media. Sniveling, whining, female dog. Kerry Williams. That's my I'm not in shape, but I will knock you the F out or die home.
Tell him why you mad, son.
Our defensive line is trying to get it done. Shout out to Fletcher Cox. In case you guys couldn't tell, I was being facetious. To my Philadelphia Eagles, we don't believe you. You need more people.
So you wait for it, right?
The mistakes,
no way he was heaping all that praise on the Eagles.
The mistakes that we make on offense, I mean, I believe in Nick Foles. He is our quarterback. He is my quarterback. I believe that there is something special with that young man. That being said, he does not play mistake-free football. He plays gutsy football. We've seen now with this last victory over the Washington professional football team, he can take a licking and keep on ticking. Shout out to him, Timex. But, dude, in the beginning of the game, before he hits his stride and rhythm, I don't know what he's looking at. He will hold on to the ball. He will hold on to the ball like he's an athletic dude that can't really play quarterback and doesn't know what he's seeing. Once he calms down,
like that.
Once I'm taking subliminals. Once he calms down, he's all right. But there are just too many holes that I see in my team for me to be a believer. As Dev alluded to, our defense is a junior varsity MEAC team. Our kicking game has stepped up. We got a kicker that can get it through the end zone, and I believe it or not, I believe field position has played a little bit of a role in the success that we've had, being able to give that defense as much field as possible to get their butts whooped on. It lends itself to them eventually having some success throughout the course of the game. I've spent all of this time on my team to tell you that they're the ones that I least believe in out of the 3-0. Next up would be the Cardinals. The Cardinals have an amazingly underrated defense. They play ball. They have a dude that's somewhere between original black man and Predator on the corner. He's like 218 pounds and 6'3" with the hips of an Olympic sprinter. I don't know what's going on with Patrick Peterson. Patrick, you don't even know how to play corner, do you? You just that damn good. I mean, I watch his technique. He's out of position. It doesn't matter. He erases mistakes. The dude is a ball. He's balling. Teron Mathau, cut your hair. I'm tired of seeing it. You are nice. I can't front on you, dude. You can play.
Bad, and I see little dudes in my neighborhood looking like honey badger.
Yeah, looking like gummy bears.
Yeah.
Yo, but he's a baller though. All that said, he balls. He can lock up on that slot. He can play safety. They have him playing everywhere. He does whatever he wants, and he's successful at it. He really reminds me of Troy Polamalu, but with coverage skills. Though, he's a little faster. Better hips, covered, but he plays everywhere on the field. So all that being said, love their defense. Don't know what they're going to do without Carson Palmer, though. They've got two stud receivers.
Drew Stanton.
Huh?
Drew Stanton.
Who? Yo, Drew Stanton doesn't know who Drew Stanton is. He, right now, in these games, do you realize Drew Stanton believes that he's asleep and he's dreaming? He doesn't even know. But shout out to him. He's been productive in the 2 games since Carson went down. Does anybody know when Carson is slated to return? We know whether
I think he's coming back this week.
Okay, Carson.
That's why they're gonna lose.
Yeah, they're going to lose their game when Carson comes back. But I do think Carson can lead them to the promised land. I kind of see them taking a step over the San Francisco 49ers. I don't know that the 49ers, and I picked the 49ers for that wild card spot. It may be the Cardinals that get that. But if they do get in, then they're going to turn back into a pumpkin because they are the Cardinals. Not sure about that running game too much. So that leaves
the longest answer ever, yeah. Which team are you buying?
I'm buying the Bengals, and I don't have anything to say as far as.
He had all that to say about the teams that he wasn't buying.
Right, self-explanatory.
So all three of us.
Process of elimination, man.
After 10 minutes, we're all buying the Bengals. Let's talk a little bit, because we talked about the Eagles in that segment. They had a bench clearing brawl in their game with the Washington professional football team. As we all know, or if you haven't seen the game, there was a play where there was an interception, or at least we thought it was an interception until the replay showed that he never caught the ball. Nick Foles was kind of jogging over toward the play. The play was basically over, and Washington's lineman Chris Baker came over and laid a wallop on Nick Foles. This started a brawl because Jason Peters came over to protect his quarterback, so he starts a fight with Chris Baker. The bench is clear. Everybody jumps in it except for Deshaun Jackson, who's standing off to the side, and Nick Foles, who's laying on the ground writhing in pain. The fallout from this brawl, people are expecting fines, suspensions maybe. But the first thing on the docket for the NFL and Troy Vincent, the judge for the competition committee, or whatever he is, was to deem whether or not Chris Baker was going to be fined for the initial hit on Nick Foles. And he ruled last night that the hit wasn't illegal. What do you guys think about that ruling? Because to me it kind of goes against the rule that was made after the 2001 playoffs when Troy Vincent's then teammate Hugh Douglas hit Jim Miller from the Chicago Bears in that same situation, and he ended up being fined $35,000. And then the next year, subsequently, the rule was made where you aren't supposed to go after a quarterback on the change of possession like that. So what do you guys think of the ruling?
The ruling was biased. It was BS. Troy Vincent is one of my favorite players of all time. Definitely have a lot of respect for his mental and the way that he looks at life, at least the way he represents himself to look at life. But as with all defensive players, fair enough. That side of the ball gets the short end of the stick. They're legislated against. It's widely known because of fantasy, because of the casual fair weather friend, because of those who accept their opinions being given to them rather than thinking for themselves. That offense is where it's at. That's what they want to see. And things are unfair towards the defense. So anytime a defensive player who basically has played, I would say, after 1995 has an opportunity to have some impact or influence on the wider spectrum of rules and regulations in the NFL, he is always, in my opinion, going to be biased because the game is against the defense at this point. It's unfair towards defensive players anyway. So I believe that his decision was made from the perspective of a defensive player who's been on the field in the course of the last 10, 15 years and knows what that means and how it is to have the game kind of skewed against you anyway. That's kind of the way that I look at all of this, because clearly it was a deep shot, clearly it was after the whistle, clearly it was away from the activity, and clearly the ball carrier was down.
So for me, I don't think it was clear that it was after the whistle. It was clear that the ball carrier was down. I just didn't know when the whistle actually blew. My take on the whole thing, first of all, and I know you agree with this, Bielsa, and you didn't say it, but first of all, the rule in itself is soft. But we know the NFL has gone in the last decade to a lot of soft rules. You kind of can't blame them because they got, hundreds of millions of dollars in lawsuits against them every year from these same players who were tough guys then, who, now they want to sue the league for injuries that they incurred while they were playing. Let me get that out of the way first. The rule is definitely soft, but the rule is a rule. And if I can take you all to NFL rule book, rule number 12, article number 9, it says, it is a foul if a player initiates unnecessary contact against a player who is in a defenseless posture. Players in a defenseless posture are, and it goes down the list, number 7 on the list is a quarterback at any time after a change of possession. This rule was instituted, like I said earlier, because of a hit that Hugh Douglas put on Jim Miller, Chicago Bears quarterback, in a playoff game in 2001. So for Troy Vincent to say that it's within the rules because he didn't hit his head or neck, I can see you not finding him because the hit wasn't a dirty hit. He didn't hit him in the head or he didn't hit him in the neck. So I never thought that Chris Baker should have been fined for it. But he's also throwing out some ambiguous language because in a conference call with a bunch of reporters, the language is a little different from what he reported to the Washington Post because he told them that, okay, this is something that will probably be called 9 out of 10 times, but if it's not being hit in the head or the neck, then I wouldn't fine the player. So I understand that, but the language is, on all the reports that came out, that the play was deemed to be legal. If it's legal, then why will there be a flag 9 out of 10 times?
Yeah, I definitely think you bring up a good point, though. I mean, I think the answer to that is that the refs are always going to err on the side of caution, especially when it comes to a quarterback on the ground in any form or fashion. I agree with a lot of what you guys said. I think the rule itself is suspect, but if you read the rule and you look at the play, it's pretty clear that it was an illegal play based on what the rule is. But I also agree with Bielsa's point that I think there is always a defensive bias with any defensive player in a situation towards other defensive players because of everything he mentioned, how the game is basically all offense now and skewed against the defense. But I mean, the point I want to make is that Deshaun Jackson, you need more people. Like you're supposed to be representing this thug life, and all of a sudden, like there's a brawl, and you're like you're 30 feet away from where all the action is. What's going on here?
What's going on? Even Riley was in there slamming dudes. But he did tell you that I'll fight every in here.
Yo, Riley Cooper most lose.
So, but that was a chance for anybody to get some shots on Riley Cooper if they wanted to, even his teammates. So, nobody can see, just needling his ribs a little bit. But yeah. So the rule for me, like I said, I don't necessarily like the rule. I think if a quarterback is running towards a ball carrier on a change of possession, you should be able to hit him. But for me, I think there's a distinct difference between a cheap shot and a dirty play. I don't think what Chris Baker did was necessarily dirty. I do think it was a cheap shot because you took a cheap opportunity to hit the quarterback very, very hard in a play where he really wasn't a threat to make a tackle or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean,
in that way, I think it's cheap, but I don't think it was dirty.
I definitely get that, but at the same time, how would Chris Baker feel if all of a sudden Nick Foles makes a tackle down the field at the 5-yard line, trips up his player, and then you basically lose. You can end up losing the game because of that because it was such a close game. Right. So I mean, the other thing is I think if he would have got fined, all of his teammates would have happily have chipped in and paid his fine for him. I mean, I think that's something that your teammates are going to rally around because at the end of the day, it is a football play. I mean, you're right. It's not a dirty play. It's not like he went and elbowed him across the face, but he's basically thinking like, Nick Foles, you're a player. You're up. There's an intercept. Our team has the ball. We're trying to go back. And sure, he could have probably made the block and made it a lot softer. Like, you probably didn't have
That's
to
what I'm saying. He took an opportunity.
You probably didn't have to lift his soul like completely, but you know, I don't know.
The only thing
it's a good play.
He's been gloating on Twitter ever since the ruling came back about how I told you I'm not dirty, this and that. But I think he seems to forget that when it first went down, what he was saying to the media was, I didn't know it was the quarterback. I just turned around and saw a player. Now all of a sudden that they ruled in your favor, well, he's the quarterback, he might go make a tackle, and I'm like, all right, make up your mind, dude. Like, you forgot 2 days ago you were saying, I didn't know that it was the quarterback, I just saw somebody and I hit him. So it's like, all right, the ruling was in your favor, you won, calm down, stop lying.
Frank, the point you made was the point that I made with all fans of the Washington professional football team. If the shoe was on the other foot,
you'd be furious.
Yeah,
anybody's quarterback would hit like that.
And that's kind of my approach to the rules. Like, I'm not such a stan. Like, as a student of the game, there's certain things that happen, even if they go in the Eagles' favor, and I root for the Eagles. There's certain things I don't want called because I don't want that called against my team. And if they're calling it both ways, I'm going to be highly irate.
And for the people who think that we are biased like that and think that we're saying this because we're Eagles fans, check our Twitter and Facebook feeds during the games. Like, there was one play when they called that bogus call on Pierre Garçon. I tweeted about it. I'm like, come on, that's just a makeup call. Let's not start that. That wasn't a penalty. Like, come on.
And further, as much of a Richard head as Deshaun Jackson is, when he got up and he pushed Jenkins, I was completely okay with that because Jenkins took
went after his shoulder.
He took a cheap shot after the play was over, so I wasn't mad. I wouldn't have thrown the
at his injured shoulder, directly at his injured shoulder. So.
Yeah, and he tried to take him out. Like, that was whack. That was whack. So I'm unbiased when it comes to kind of administration of the rule book. I feel as though we don't need cheating in the game in order to see who's the better player, who's the better team. So it's like, don't give us any help. I don't need it.
First of all, and this is the last point we can make about this so we can go on. This 3-man episode is going to be longer than the normal ones. The last thing about that whole, the fallout from the whole brawl. Also, talking to a lot of people from the Washington area, it seems like they were using that as an excuse in the game. But if you think about how everything went down with the penalties, Peters' penalty offset, so it was still 2nd and 10. No yards were gained on the play by the Eagles. The Washington lost Chris Baker. No disrespect to Chris Baker, but you know what I'm saying, he's a D tackle from Hampton University who had like 42 tackles coming into the game. The Eagles lost Jason Peters, a 5-time All-Pro, 6-time Pro Bowl player, and he was the 4th offensive lineman that they were already down Lane Johnson and a couple other guys. So after Peters left, there was one Eagles starter left on the line. So there's no excuse coming from that brawl from the Washington side because that's when Arakpo and Kerrigan should have teed off and proved their worth and got after the quarterback, and they got no sacks before that or after that. So FOH with the excuses. Washington came off better, after that whole brawl situation. Stand with Washington. Let's talk about the quarterback situation for a minute because Kirk Cousins has come in and played 2 very good games. One was in relief, and that was a win, a blowout against the Jags. People said, okay, it was the Jags. Let's chill. Let's see if it's real. So they come back, even though the Eagles still play JV defense, like I mentioned earlier. He lights the Eagles up. Kind of makes some mistakes late in the game when they really, really needed him. However, I look at it the other way, and as a fan of the Philadelphia Eagles, I think I would have been more comfortable with Robert Griffin playing against us in that game than Kirk Cousins because I don't think they're in that game if Robert is the quarterback. And like I said, when I say that stuff, I'm not making a judgment of who's better. I'm making a judgment of who runs that particular offense better at the moment. In a few weeks, I might be able to make a judgment who's better if this guy keeps playing like this. But what do you guys think? Because in Washington, it's a big conversation of whether RG3 is in trouble of losing his job while he's injured. Do you guys think that's possible, considering everything they gave up to get him?
I most definitely think it's possible. I mean, I think I think you brought up the best point, Dev. It's not who's the better quarterback; it's the offense that they're running, and they brought in a head coach in Jay Gruden, who's obviously has some leeway. It's not like he's going to be out the door next year, and he's decided to run this offense that pretty evidently is better for Kirk Cousins than it is for Robert Griffin III. I think we've seen that already. I just think I'm not ready to give up on Robert Griffin III, really, personally, just because I think that they're limiting him, and I think the only way he can be the quarterback that he needs to be is if he has the ability to basically run whenever he wants or whenever he feels like he can, not just be tamed into the pocket and look pass, and then run it as a last resort. I don't think that's the kind of quarterback Robert Griffin III is. And I just think that the system that they're running right now, and it seems like the offense is clicking on all cylinders more with Kirk Cousins, and I think the players have more confidence in him than they do in Robert Griffin III, because not only is Robert Griffin III trying to learn a new system, he's trying to learn a new way to play quarterback at the same time, and that's just not going to work. And I think the way for Robert Griffin III to basically flourish is to be a running quarterback and learn how to slide. I mean, I think that's one of his biggest things is he doesn't know how to not take hits. I mean, we saw Michael Vick make a career out of, lose a career out of not being able to know when to slide. And I think Robert Griffin may be heading towards the same path if he doesn't change his ways. But I'm not ready to give up on him yet. But as far as the Redskins go and the offense that they are seeming to run, it seems like Kirk Cousins is the answer.
Yeah.
I don't have to give up on Bob Norbert, a.k.a. Robert Griffin, a.k.a. the Cornball Brother, because I kind of never picked up on the flag in believing in him. I was one of the folks that coming out of Baylor when I heard all of this talk of, well, he's a pocket passer and a pocket quarterback who just happens to be a tremendous, almost Olympic-level athlete, track athlete. I mean, he can pop. Then I said, wait, they didn't run a pro set or pro-style offense at Baylor. Robert Griffin didn't have passing plays at Baylor. They didn't even use a passing tree, for God's sake. So I kind of knew that it was all BS. You let a young black man get in front of the camera and speak the King's English, and sometimes people are fooled by that into believing that means, from an intellectual standpoint, he's a little bit further ahead than he is. And now let me just go forward with an education of what quarterback is in the NFL, and I'll be brief. You must be a very strong decision maker. You must understand the game cerebrally. You must understand passing and coverage concepts. You must get the ball out fast and make decisions in a snap. You must be accurate, and you must be a facilitator. These are things that have to happen at the NFL level, because if you're a playmaker at quarterback and you're the best athlete on the field, you will not be a winning quarterback in the NFL. There are too many great defensive coordinators and great defensive minds and other great athletes on the field. I don't believe that Robert Griffin, at this stage in his career, has it in him to be the passer that is necessary for them to win. Kirk Cousins, I don't know what his ceiling is or what he's capable of, but right now, Jay Gruden is a former quarterback. He's a quarterback guy. He's an offense guy. He runs elements of the West Coast offense, which Dev and I have intimate experience with, being Philadelphia fans. Quick snap decisions, get the ball out fast. Get the ball out fast, get the ball out accurately. Don't have to throw the ball 70 yards down the field, although Kirk does have a strong arm. Not as strong as Rob's, but strong enough. But it's about quick decision-making, reading coverages, and being accurate. It's a no-brainer for me. I mean, I know what I'm looking at, and the controversy shouldn't be a controversy, because Kirk is far and away the better quarterback for this system. He's not the better athlete. He's not, the stronger. He's not the faster. But he's making better decisions. He trusts his eyes, and he knows what he's seeing in front of him. He put up 30 points. He gave them an opportunity to score 30.
For me,
field goal.
And speaking objectively, because I'm not supposed to wish and hope anything well for any NFC East team. That's what I'm told. I'm not supposed to do that. But speaking objectively, I hope when it comes down to this decision, if this is a decision for Washington, I hope they make the decision off of, what's best for their team and not dwell on what they gave up, what they invested in Robert Griffin III. Because if you dwell on that and you down the road deem that to have been a mistake, then I believe that you compound the mistake by, sticking with it when you have something better. So if when it comes to the time to make that decision, if Robert Griffin is the better quarterback in their eyes, then so be it. You keep him. But if you think, like B. Austin said, that Kirk Cousins is far and away the better quarterback, or at least the better one for this offense moving forward, then I don't think you can dwell on what you gave up to get him, because all you're going to do is pile on to that same mistake. I say you move forward with who you think. And living in the Washington area, I've noticed the change in the narrative in the past 2 weeks. They scored 6 points against Houston, and the narrative around here, well, this is a developmental season for Robert Griffin III. They're trying to change him into a pocket quarterback, which is not fully the truth. He and his father wants him to be a pocket quarterback. They said they didn't want to run all of that read option and him running all the time. People seem to blame that on the coaches, Shanahan's, and now moving forward to the coaching staff now. But the narrative has kind of changed now that Kirk Cousins has come in and their offense is running on all cylinders. Now the playoff talk and the what ifs and all that stuff is coming up. So the people who still hold the flag for Robert, but their narrative has changed as well, I don't even think they realize that they're showing more confidence in the other guy by just changing their whole tone about the season. So it's going to be interesting to see how this whole thing plays out. Let's do our games of the week real quick so we can get out of here. And let's start with that one, Thursday night contest. Frank's New York Giants against Washington, in Washington. Who do you guys got? Go ahead, Frank.
I like to think I'm the same way, pretty objective about my team, even pessimistic. But I got the Giants in this one. I just think they are the better team, have the better defense, and will prevail.
For me, I picked Washington in this. My pick is a little shaky because that game against Philly was like a knockdown, drag out. Like, there's a lot of guys. They have 17 guys on their injury report. Most of, a lot of them are questionable. Most of them are going to play, but they do have 17 guys on the injury report. And in a short week, both teams have a short week, but I don't know if the Giants game, I didn't actually see it. I don't know if it was as physical as this particular game. But I'm going to go with Washington. I think it'll be a little bit of a shootout, though. I think both offenses are going to be a little aggressive. B. Austin, who you got?
Yeah, you just elaborated on the case why I'm going to take the New York Giants. I actually think that with Kirk Cousins in the under center and the improvements to the front seven on their defense, I think that the Washington professional football team is actually more talented than the New York Giants. I also think that they got into one of the more physical contests that they're going to have this season with the Eagles, and I think you can't turn around and play football again on a Thursday after having that game on Sunday. Your body hasn't healed. You need the extra 3 days. I'm going with the Giants just because of that. If all things were equal and it was a Sunday, I'd actually take DC.
They got some physical ones coming up, though. They got the Niners and the Seahawks eventually. So it's going to get worse.
Yeah.
It's going to get worse. All right.
Physical.
B. Austin, Packers at Bears.
Aaron Rodgers told us all to relax.
Yeah, he told us that 2 weeks ago, too.
I believe in Lark Lemon. I'm going with my man. I think he's going to bring it back around. I got the Packers.
When you got a quarterback like Jay Cutler, you got to take the Bears. I'm going with the Bears. The Packers just, I don't know, they're lacking to me, even offensively.
Oh, Lord.
So far, I'm not going to write him off, but so far, Eddie Lacy is not what we thought he was. And I'm just going to leave that there.
Damn, I got John Kerry real quick. I got a John.
Somebody's not going to carry him like he did. You know, he's not going to carry him every week. So I'm going to go with the Bears on this one. Frank, who you got? Huh?
I don't fully believe in the Bears yet. I'm very skeptical. I've watched every Bears game this season, and I don't completely buy him at all. I think Aaron Rodgers told us to relax, like B. Austin brought up. If they lose this game, they're no more relaxing. I think 1-3, you lose to 2 division opponents. Relaxing is not an option anymore. So for that reason, I am going to take the Packers because I think that they're going to have the desperation to win this game.
They've owned the Bears recently. And the Packers are more desperate, but I'm like, damn, the Bears got to beat these dudes one day. The Eagles and the 49ers. Start with you, Frank.
I'm going to take the Niners. I think that they're going to bounce back. If they hadn't lost 2 in a row, I might have taken the Eagles, kind of like in a surprise. But I got the Niners.
Same reason for me. I think a desperate 49ers team at home at Bell Bottom Stadium. Shout out to Roy Burton of the Broad Street Line. It's Levi Stadium. He called it Bell Bottom Stadium or 501 Stadium. But yeah, I see the 49ers eking this one out. I don't think this is a team that the Eagles want to fall behind, but we've said that every week, and they keep coming back. But if they don't play from the start, I think the Niners will take advantage of that. So I'm going to take the 49ers in this one and hope and pray that I'm wrong.
Also, by far, the best defense that the Eagles are going to play this season. Absolutely.
So if they do fall behind, coming back is not going to be that easy. So.
I'm going to take the Niners for 3 reasons. When we get into short yardage situations, we run out of the shotgun. The type of guys that they're going to look at that the first time it happens, and we're going to get that first down. And the reason is they're going to be laughing at us because we're still ready. And then we're going to line up and try it again, and they're going to get angry because we disrespected them, and we tried it again. And we're going to lose 3 yards every time we line up and try and run out of the shotgun against them because they're going to get angry at the disrespect that we're showing. That's the first reason. Secondly, if Kaepernick can ever get his life together this season, look at the receiving core that Colin Kaepernick has playing for him. Crabtree, good. Anquan Bolden, Hall of Famer. Stevie Johnson, mercurial, oddball, very good. Brandon Lloyd, we forget about. Brandon Lloyd doesn't do anything mundane or routine. Those catches he doesn't make. But the spectacular and the run-bys are all him. And then you got Vernon Davis, who's putrid against 4 top-flight receivers. So I got them. In a knockdown, drag-out. I got them winning by 10.
Okay, so let's go to the Saints at Cowboys, and I'll just I picked the Saints in this one, and believe it or not, I'm not that confident about the pick. Shout out to Morris Claiborne, walking out of practice because he found out he was no longer starting. Orlando Scandrick was the starter anyway, so why'd you think after 2 games of being suspended he wasn't going to reclaim his spot?
Orlando Scandrick's not good.
And neither is he. So besides being in good position for that final interception, he was getting his ass tapped all game last week.
Yes, he was.
But I'm going to go with the Saints on the road. I think they need it, and I think they'll go and get it. Frank?
Quite simply, I'm picking the Saints. I have a lot of confidence in it because I've seen the Saints play offense and I've seen the Cowboys play defense, and that's not really a formula for Cowboy success.
Nice and simple.
Saints for sentimental bias reasons because I just don't want the Cowboys to win. So, please, Drew Brees, please, do it for me. Do it for me.
So our last game on the docket, the Monday Nighter, the Patriots versus the Chiefs at Arrowhead. B. Austin, who you got?
Tom Brady.
Got Tom, terrific. I'm going to go with the Patriots as well in this one. I don't even think this is a great game prospect, but, it's the Monday Nighter. We got to talk about the Monday Nighter. So I got the Patriots going in there and winning, too. Maybe the Chiefs will surprise me. Frank, what do you got?
We got 2 low-key things going on. Low-key, Monday night has been maybe the worst Monday night start-off in the history. Like, all the games have just been bad matchups. I don't even know who booked these things. And 2, Tom Brady might be low-key washed up. Like it's possible that Tom Brady is washed up at this point. That being said, I still have the Patriots. I still believe in Brady, even though he hasn't really shown me much thus far.
Yo, he's out there with Danny Amendola and Julian Edelman, man.
Yeah, he's made it work like that before, though.
Julian Edelman is the truth.
Actually, he is.
No, but the Colts-Eagles was a good Monday night matchup. The game, it was just a tale of two halves, but the other ones, all the national, like the Buccaneers on Thursday Night Football getting dusted. Like, come on, man. Y'all got to do better with the scheduling. But look, this has been another episode of Field Vision, a long episode, might I add. I don't know how we did that. But like we always tell you guys, make sure you subscribe to the page. Click the like button on the video. Leave your comments. Give us your games of the week. And give us your opinion on any of the topics that we covered here. Happy football, everybody. I mean, the football season's here, so we're just going to be sledding right along every week. So, like we always tell you guys, don't accept mediocrity and be steadfast in the war against ignorance.
We will see you chumps on top.
Sports-Kings.com, warroomsports.com. Do that.
Yeah.
Kuwait is the war room with 5 nights at the round table. 5 Philly guys diversified and educated.